I'd be remiss if I didn't say that any death in custody is a tragic event, both for the family members, obviously the decedent, and all the staff that have to deal with that. What I recall about the Herman Titus event is just that he was a young individual who was incarcerated and died of natural causes in our custody.
You were with the Travis County Sheriff's Office at that time?
I was.
Mm-hmm. So were you out there that day?
No, but I was notified. I was notified of the event, and of course was informed that it was, it was a critical incident, and staff were responding to it. So, yeah.
Related to the open records in that case, Mr. Titus's mother hired an attorney to try to get records to understand better what happened on the day that he passed away. The Travis County Attorney's Office, on behalf of the Sheriff's Office, asked the Attorney General for a ruling to see if certain information could be released. Specifically, what was withheld was portions of a Travis County Sheriff's Office Major Crimes Unit investigation. Why does that unit investigate when something like this happens?
Why does the crime unit investigate, or Criminal Investigations Division?
Major Crimes Unit.
Right, major crimes. They investigate because it's an incident that has occurred within our facility. They're the ones with the expertise to do the investigation properly. So they respond and make sure that there hasn't been a criminal offense, that the decedent did not pass from some sort of criminal activity. So we always secure any scene, whether it's somebody that died of natural causes or no matter how they died, or even if they're critically injured, we secure the scene and treat it as if it's a crime scene. And so we have our Major Crimes Unit respond.
Why is it necessary to have that unit respond if there's already internal affairs? The Texas Rangers investigated that specific death, and also the Texas Commission on Jail Standards is doing an investigation.
That's a good question. So Internal Affairs handles their portion of the investigation. It's an administrative review, an administrative investigation to ensure that there's no staff policy violations or some sort of activity on the part of staff that was handled improperly. So that's Internal Affairs role. Texas Rangers are now brought in to do the investigation as an independent party to make sure that that the investigations are done outside of the purview of the agency that has the actual jurisdiction. So in the case of a death in custody, now Commission on Jail Standards requires that a outside party actually does the investigative portion of that. But had it been a criminal activity, which resulted in the death of Mr. Titus, which it wasn't, but had it been criminal activity, then certainly our Major Crimes Section, our Criminal Division Investigative Unit would have been the ones that would have been investigating who was responsible for either, and it doesn't even have to be a death, it could have been an assault or something of that case with any individual that we have in custody. They have to do the investigation on that so that we hold somebody criminally accountable for their actions.
But to be clear, there was no criminal investigation because there was no crime deemed that actually happened.
That is correct. That is correct.
Because there was no criminal investigation, there was no one arrested or indicted. There were no suspects in Mr. Titus's death.
That is correct.
The way that the law reads about the open records, it says if there is no conviction and no deferred adjudication, then the law enforcement agency has the discretion to release that information. How can there be or not be a conviction if there's never anyone charged for the crime or the lack of crime in this case?
Right, and there wouldn't be unless there was a criminal element to the case.
Can you understand why maybe I'm a bit confused about the reasoning for withholding the information if it was related to a closed criminal investigation when you've just said that there was no criminal investigation?
Well, I didn't say there wasn't a criminal investigation other than there wasn't a criminal activity. And if I said criminal investigation...
No, I'm happy you're clarifying.
Right. So, and to say, do I understand your confusion? I certainly have a certain measure of understanding to that. But we rely on the county attorney's office rather to help us navigate the waters on what should and shouldn't be released. Sometimes it's not clear what information we should be releasing and shouldn't be releasing. And so Travis County Sheriff's Office certainly has a practice of releasing all information in regards to the Freedom of Information Act or Texas Public Records Act. But sometimes it's not clear what should be released, and we rely on the county attorney's office to help us navigate those waters.